Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this AGIF webinar in partnership with Golf Genius Software. This is the second in a series of why new technology is now essential in golf course management. And this session will be discussing the importance of club tournament play in the economy of a golf club and study how software is impacting club tournament play in the COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 period. Joining us are Craig Higgs, Managing Director of Golf Genius Software, coming in from England. Good morning, Craig.
Morning, Eric. Morning, everybody.
We have Peter Shaw, Director of Sales, Golf Genius Software, coming in from Australia. Good afternoon, Peter.
Afternoon, everyone.
Stephen Thielke, CEO of Leisure at TPC KL in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Good afternoon, Stephen.
Greetings, everyone.
And Paul Booth, General Manager at Hamra Golf Club in the UAE. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
That's a pleasure. So just a little housekeeping. The format of the webinar will be a presentation and discussion format. Kicking off will be Craig and Peter from Golf Genius, followed by Paul from Hamra, and followed by Stephen from TPC KL. This will be followed by a Q&A session panel discussion. You have the ability to ask questions on the Q&A function on the Zoom at the bottom of your screen, so please take a look when you have the chance. There's also a poll for those on the webinar for registrants to fill in, and we can review the results of those online and discuss. Final housekeeping for those of you who are interested in continuing education points or association points from the Club Managers Association of America, or the PGA of GB in Ireland, the PGA of America, and the GCSAA. You will be able to apply for credits if you are on the webinar for at least an hour, and the webinar should be at least an hour, and will receive confirmation of attendance by the AGIF upon attendance and confirmation. So that's it for housekeeping. So let's get started with Craig and Peter from Golf Genius.
Thank you, Eric. I'll just share the screen here. Hopefully everybody can see that. So what I wanted to do is to create a little bit of an introduction to Golf Genius, and then move into how we're seeing and being asked by our customers to use Golf Genius in the current COVID-19 situation and period. We've certainly seen quite a bit of change in terms of our customer demand. And I think it's very relevant to the topic today. So let's just spend a little bit of time talking about Golf Genius, who we are. Golf Genius is a tournament management system. That's what we do, purely tournament management. We deal with over 9,000 clubs worldwide in 50 countries. And in a typical year, we would run 500,000 golf events with our customers and over 20 million rounds. Cloud-based software. Now very much, I think, leading the way in terms of helping clubs run golf tournaments, golf associations, etc. Just a little bit about the company. Just over 10 years old, self-funded. Recently, people may or may not have noticed we've got a capital investment from Capital MVP and none other than Rory McIlroy, who's invested in Golf Genius. We share a view about the digitization of golf and making it easier for players to interact. Based out of the US, about 87 employees, 39 professionals are there leading and helping with support. We grow about 30% a year, and I'm very pleased to say profitable. Peter is head of the region in APAC, based out of Brisbane. My role is to look after the international business outside of the US. So those are the people. In terms of a history, as I say, over the last 10 years, we started building a trip product, very quickly moved into the club software business to help run tournaments. And around about 2017, we signed our, if you like, landmark agreement with the USGA, and that's allowed us to supply every golf club in the US, as well as do all the handicapping now for the USGA and World Handicapping. Since that time, we've extended out. We'll work with the PGA of Australia. Got a great working agreement with the Singapore Golf Association to help with their tournaments, Golf New South Wales, as well as more local ones to Europe. So we really do now have a great global reach, both with clubs as well as golf associations. And we're right at the forefront of the World Handicapping system, where the RNA and the USGA are bringing one system to the world. And we have a great interest to try and help the Far East region move towards World Handicapping. Our product is cloud-based, as we say. It's there to do basically three things: take the work out of creating tournaments, leagues for the golf team. There to make it more fun for the players. Bring in, as I say, interactive technology to make the event more fun. And once it's more fun, we see more participation and we help generate more revenue. A key thing to our offer is our support. As I say, we have nearly 40 PGA pros who are on hand to help with any questions and support the product in its use. Just one summary of that. We base ourselves, and a key metric that we have is Net Promoter Score, and we see a very, very satisfying score, which is very similar to that you would associate with the iPhone or Microsoft. So through that support mechanism, we're very focused on making sure that customers not only have the product, but know how to use it. So that's a little bit of a background about Golf Genius. We know very much that we're fairly new into the Far East region, but we hope that we come and can present a great credentials to potential clubs, federations, all of whom may be interested in improving their tournament management play. Just now, a little bit in terms of COVID-19, contactless golf, as we call it. This is the new normal. We have seen across our country markets, Golf Genius is being asked to rapidly help clubs with their digitization. They're looking to reduce the traditional touch points in a golf event. And that's increased the demand for standard features that we have, like online registration, tee time booking, live app scoring, etc. So the key point that we've seen is that the recent COVID-19 has absolutely turbocharged clubs' desire to get from the scorecard into digital scoring and other such contactless golf. I'm going to just throw in, I'm not going to dwell on them, some of the people that are using us in and around the region. So that will give you some idea of how we've begun to make some headway, and we're working with more people in the region, which is our stated aim and goal. Golf Genius is all about tournament management. We really pride ourselves on the fact that tournament managers is what we do. All day, every day. We're there to make the task of creating great golf events a lot easier, and making sure that creating great golf events will bring back to clubs the revenue that we've all lost in the last couple of weeks. Our product is all about the golf. We fervently believe that a golf club is about golf, and it is its primary product. We're there to make it safe. We're there to make it more fun. And when it's more fun, we know and we can chart the increase in rounds played. And with that rounds played, revenues go up, whether they be participation revenues, whether they be F&B. And we believe that great golf is the core to the club brand and the customer experience. And that's our sweet spot. So we very much focus on tournament management. We do it with a lot of very prestigious clubs, and we're happy to work with them. And we've seen that as they use the product, they can reduce significantly the amount of time that they have to put in. Many clubs say that they're saving, up to 2 hours in terms of event creation, and we make that a very simple process. We work with clubs like Clearwater Bay in Hong Kong, and maybe this is one of the key points. We make the golf event more fun. We have a native scoring app which provides live scoring, on-course scoring. It provides the opportunity for advertising and sponsorship, but it really does become the tool with which any of the players will consume the event. They can log into the event itself. They can look at websites that are created around that event, and obviously they can see things like results as well as take photos to make the event come alive. So we know that that's a primary importance in the current environment, and with the flexibility that we have in terms of the many different formats, we know that we have everything, if you like, under the bonnet in order to create any type of golf event. And we've created over 2 million different alternatives that you can choose from within your management of the golf event. Again, we've done very well in the Middle East, and as I say, now we're looking to move very much into the Far East and present what we can do. And one of the key things that we've also seen with our customers is once they're able to create these events, they have a great opportunity to market those, whether they be to local corporate clients or whether they want to find sponsorship for their day-to-day activities. Golf Genius provides a great platform to allow and enable that type of content to be fully and properly featured in the golf event. And obviously that drives revenue as well, and on top of the increased participation. So we're about making it easier, we're about making it more fun and increasing revenue. Something that we know is very important as people come back from the lockdown periods that they have. And typically now we see across the 50 countries that we deal with, golf is now generally moving towards a state of being open, but they do want to make sure that it's done in a socially responsible or contactless way. Support is a key foundation for our customers. As I say, we regularly do setup, we do training, we do webinars, and we have, most importantly, a helpline that if there are any questions, any issues with setting up a particular event, we have a 5 to 10 minute response time anywhere in the world. So again, our product becomes adopted, it receives high net promoter scores because we very much invest in the support of the product to make sure that it's very widely used. Just to sort of wrap up here, we are and do have a checklist for creating what we call a contactless event. We'll be very happy to introduce that to anybody that has any interest. We have certainly the opportunity, if anybody wants to, have a view of a contactless golf event at their location, we can very easily set that up, allow for that to be used so that people can see how the contactless golf day will reduce those touch points. So we're very much here to answer any questions, talk about it. There's the Golf Genius team. And as I say, we're all very keen to see what we can do and how we can help customers, existing customers and potential customers in the Asia Pacific region. So hopefully that's a very quick run through, but it gives you a flavor for who Golf Genius are, what we do, and how we're applying those product features and our support team to helping clubs come through COVID-19 and create great contactless events.
Thank you, Craig. Great. And just to be clear, you'll be supplying that presentation via the AGIF to be able to, if everybody wants to gain access to the presentation, we'll be able to forward it to you after this
Yes,
upon request.
for sure.
Thank you, Craig. And on now, we'd like to welcome Paul and Hamra, a practicing general manager, and to give us a little bit of overview on tournament golf and tournament golf software. Paul?
Thank you very much. I'll just try and find my presentation.
While Paul does that, we just had a question from Giannis. Should we answer that one, Eric?
I think if you're okay with it, we go through the presentations and then we go
Do it
through
at the
the
end?
answers, and Yanis will be the first one for sure.
Yep, no problem. I accidentally bumped that we've answered it, so we won't forget about it.
Yeah,
Hopefully you can all see my slides.
there we are. Yeah.
Craig, thank you for mentioning Hamra in your presentation. Much appreciate that. It has been noted.
Yes, I get it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I noticed a few of my old clubs, but not the current one. So
Well-
I'm going to talk about it more from an operations standpoint. Golf Genius is part of what we've been doing. Our terminology is less touch, more tech. And we have done some digital events, but more about not just Golf Genius, easy links, QR codes, bookings. We've now implemented bookings for our gym, for our practice tee, to control capacity and social distancing. QR codes, so we've noticed that people are coming into the outlets, they don't want to touch menus anymore, even though we're sanitizing, so we're learning as we go. We were shut for 25 days from March the 25th until April the 19th. And a lot of our discussions have been about approvals, and this is going to vary from country to country. In the UAE, golf is still quite a relatively new game, so we had to educate what golf is and how golf can be safe in an environment, single carts, out in the open. So getting golf approved was one step. The next step was competition golf. Competition golf is important for membership and for corporate golf, which is a big revenue stream for many of us on the call. So once we got the golf approved, we then started looking at how we can get the corporate golf and membership competitions approved. And that's when we started going through how we could run a digital event using Golf Genius, online registration, scoring through Visage, and then results through social media. So if government approval was one thing, buy-in from the members and guests is what we will probably find more challenging. I've taken some statistics here. The average age of a golfer in the US is 54. In Europe, 42% of golfers are 60 or over. Malaysia, Singapore, 55% of club members are age 55 and overs. Indonesia, we've got a little bit of a 40 to 60, so a wide range. But we're talking to baby boomers. So traditionally, baby boomers didn't want to get involved in Golf Genius. And we've been using it here for the last couple of years, and there's been a resistance to change. They like the notice boards, which we can't have a notice board because of touch points with pens. So now all of a sudden, we're finding the baby boomers are wanting to understand Golf Genius, booking apps, understand how they work. So this is really helping us drive the technical side of things. As you know, with your membership, you'll have the baby boomers, but then the millennials are coming through. The millennials want to see more technology, so it's helping that transition to getting more millennials involved, but at the same time getting the baby boomers buying into what we're trying to achieve. All of these statistics are taken from KPMG, National Golf Foundation, and the HSBC. But that's been two approval processes, one from the government, and then members and guests buy-in is what we found we've been working with or towards. So more the digital events. Now, what we found with our government here, I'm imagining you're going to probably have the same restrictions and apprehensions. It's more to do with the presentations and gatherings pre and post golf. If you can demonstrate that you can do everything contactless, and then you won't do any shotgun starts or presentations. Everything will be done via social media and other platforms. That really helped us get the buy-in. Even now, we do an event, Member Monday, for example, and the members still want to do the presentations, but we can't do those presentations as such because those are considered the gathering. So I think it's key that you take some of these to your representative countries and states and educate them on how we can run events without having to have gatherings and touch points. These are some of the things that Golf Genius can do. And as Craig was saying, everything's very user-friendly with Golf Genius, and it really enhances an event that you're doing. From a membership standpoint is one thing, but from a corporate day standpoint is another thing. Branding, selling sponsorships, it's a pretty unique and cool tool to work with, and once you get the hang of it, it's very user-friendly. The results side of things, as we spoke about, if you can demonstrate that you can publicize results through different platforms without doing the presentations, that's appeased our governments here, and these are some of the platforms we're using for our membership results. We email the results as well, but everyone likes to see their name in lights, so whether that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, we use all of these platforms to showcase our winners. We have taken a picture of the winner, but no shaking of the hand and handing over the prizes, as that would be breaking the social distancing. So we understand that the members like to see their name in lights. So we're doing what we can, but taking social distance and all of the measures in place and trying to take it as seriously as we can. One of the key things to wrap this up really is communication. You know, you're communicating with the members, communicating with the government, communicating with the teams. The more you're communicating what's going on, why you're doing it, getting the buy-in, we found it's been, I wouldn't say a seamless transition, but it's definitely helped us get to where we need to go. And hopefully with your governments, your membership base, you can take some of these tools and practices and get their buy-in. And I know from many of you that getting the corporate golf and membership tournaments back on the scene is one of a massive revenue driver and also a value benefit to the membership that they're getting tournament golf, as we know they all like. That's pretty much it from me, really, from an operational standpoint.
Thank you, Paul. Just some news. The poll is open now. So when you have time, please take the poll. We'll leave it open for after the event as well for you to fill in if you want to do it after the webinar. Next, we have Stephen Thielke from TPCKL. I neglected in all the marketing material to give him his proper designation of CCM, which is Certified Club Manager, which is quite a prestigious title in the world of club management. Stephen just received it last year, and Paul, you're nearly there from what I understand. So Stephen, I've properly recognized you, and please give us your comments and thoughts.
Thanks, Eric. Nice to be here. It took me 25 years, by the way, to get the CCM. I mean, that possibly says a lot about my academic skills. But yeah, I think from my perspective, it's really interesting listening to Paul. It looks like Troon and Paul and the team are doing a fantastic job when it comes to technology. And I just wanted to maybe give a perspective also from a club and from an operations perspective, from perhaps a club that is not necessarily as good as that, but some of the challenges that we are facing and where we're moving towards, and how it's important that we do consider this technology debate. So, clubs must serve all age groups and consider the different demographics going forward, right? There's a number of factors that clubs the club of the future has to consider. Obviously, the impact of or what you call the rise of the millennials is really important. As Paul mentioned as well, is the aging of the boomers, the decline in marriage, the single household is up, and of course the impact of technology, which is probably the biggest item that we all have to face and address going forward, together with the rising of the millennials, right? So, but you know, getting out of, we went into lockdown on the 18th of March in Malaysia, and we came out on the 4th of May, and it's been going pretty well actually with golf in Malaysia, although it's still tough times. We came out during Ramadan, so the majority of our members weren't playing, so it was relatively quiet. And since then, we got single buggy operations, so it's quite business is quite tough. So a lot of the managers out, certainly in our part of the world, are quite overwhelmed, and I think many of them, I've noticed there's one or two of the Malaysian managers on the webinar today are sort of I wouldn't say overwhelmed, but there's so many factors to consider going forward. You know, we've lost a lot of money. There's a lot of staffing issues, human resource factors we have to consider. You know, where does technology fit into all of this? You know, and we're looking at our CapEx budgets for the year, and of course, where do we position technology? There's, as I mentioned, there's so many factors to consider: human resources, golf course maintenance, irrigation, etc. Those are huge numbers out there. So quite a challenge just to try and figure out where do we fit technology in. Knowing, of course, that technology is a critical part of the future of our business. 90% of my members are boomers, but they're not the future of the club business. The future, of course, as we know, is in millennials. So when it comes to technology, I always, from a club that is definitely not as good as what Troon and Paul is doing out there in the Middle East, I would say a lot of us need to really take a step back and, number one, do the basics right. I mean, when you talk about, technology at clubs, I guess most people refer to, your Wi-Fi or paying online for your subscriptions and, having a club app or doing, I talk to hotel GMs quite a bit, and they tell me how difficult it is to actually get a tee time at a golf club. It is one of the most difficult things. They'd love to support golf and support our business, but they cannot. They phone the club and they get the runaround, and they cannot play in the morning, you can't play in the afternoon, your weekends is only for members. It's really difficult. How many clubs actually have an online booking system? I think in Malaysia, I don't think there's many, maybe one or two clubs have an online booking system. So we really struggle to actually get the basics right in many respects. I am personally, I'm really interested in wanting to move into beacon technology, where I could, use that opportunity to do some personalized marketing, do member recognition, automated payments and check-ins, etc., for members. So really important that we as clubs do take that next step as far as technology is concerned. And I've honestly, forgive me, Mike and Craig, Peter and Craig, I've not had an opportunity prior to today to talk to you about Golf Genius, but it looks like a fantastic product and something that's can be quite easily integrated into Malaysia. I'd love to be able to use that. Perhaps, one of the previous webinars that was hosted that I attended, one of the presenters presented doing prize givings around with maybe a big screen around the green with your buggies, and perhaps Golf Genius could come up with a concept where we could all participate in the prize giving around the 18th green, where we don't actually go into a function room and remain outside. So yeah, there's no question that going forward, our target market is millennials. We looked at as a club, we're busy with it right now in doing our own Top Golf concept, a Malaysianized version of Top Golf, which included technology. We figured in our analysis, we figured we could probably draw, triple the bottom line with our new technology concept. That is what millennials want. There's no question about that they want that golf factor, but they also want the fun side, the entertainment side of golf. GGA Partners, and I think in partnership with Next Gen Golf, did a recent survey that was out this year of 1,600 millennials, and 95% of them have tried some simulator type concept, such as Top Golf, Simulator Golf, etc. 95% of them. And I think all of them, all 95%, have confirmed that has not impacted on their regular golf playing. They just want that. I mean, the average millennial has 10 different activities, other activities that they want to do as well, besides golf. So we need to provide for that. Otherwise, we're going to lose those golfers. There's no question about that. Hence the reason why we introduced or want to introduce the new Top Golf concept year as well. So, by the way, that research from GJ Partners, we can also share, Eric, if you'd like. We could also put that up for. It's a new one. I could share it. You can email me as well. But it really is quite a fascinating bit of research on millennials and the future of golf. Yeah. So yeah, I think from our perspective, from my club, certainly talking to a few managers here, it's absolutely critical that we take care of the basics. No question about that. You know, we have to take care of what the minimum as far as technology is concerned. But the investment we make in technology such as Golf Genius is really important. Not only can you get the return on investment, but I think this is what our target market is looking for, and that's what they want. And if we want to generate membership sales for your club, if you want to get people to join your club, you need to be providing for those type of technology activities.
Thank you, Stephen. So now after these presentations, we're on to the Q&A part of the section, and we do have a question from Yanis as the first question we have. And I think this topic has been addressed and sort of semi-answered, but it's very valid. Yanis asks, with the age of golfers generally being older, over 55, how will this definite desire for technology's involvement in golf operations be accepted? E.g., golfers love the scorecard. They like a paper in general. Will the safety aspect do the job, or will more coercion be required to motivate them to transfer to the online tool? Yanis, I hope I didn't ad-lib too much on your original question. So transferring the baby boomers into technology, I guess, is the essence of the question. Craig and Peter, do you have, and also Paul and Stephen, you have any input?
I mean, from my point of view, I see this regularly. We have done ever since Golf Genius came out to Australia. Is, you know, the first question we get is, oh, our membership's old, or this tournament's old, or whatever. So, I mean, most of the time, it's obviously being driven by management. You know, right now it's being driven by, you know, contactless, reducing touch points. But what we find is that they're still in that age bracket, you know, the over 55s, the old guys, whatever we're going to term them. There's plenty of guys that are on their phones all the time, talking to their kids, you know, they're on Facebook these days, you know, they're not afraid of their phones. You know, you still get the old Nokia 3310 guy that's, you know, just never going to be able to participate. But most people have some form of smartphone, and regularly what happens is that, you know, if this was the group of, you know, Eric, myself, Craig and Stephen, and Stephen didn't want to do it, well, we'll just do it for him. And then, you know, as you move in, he's asking more about, oh, who's leading? And it's like, well, you can look at it yourself. And he's like, oh, can I? And all of a sudden, he's into it. And, you know, we've got a guy that we love to call the dinosaur at one of the districts up here on the Gold Coast. And he couldn't even open an email. Like, that was his own admission, and now he's the one driving it through his district. We're going contactless, guys. You've got to do this. So quite often, it's the hardest mark becomes the biggest advocate. And as long as you're not banging them over the head saying, guys, you must. What we tend to do is, you know, at the moment, it's one person can score for the whole group. So you don't need everyone to do it. You know, you could have one millennial with 3 boomers and he'll look after it for you, you know. So we will get more digital scorecards, the official, you know, marker and player scores, and that's coming out in the near future. But I think that's the biggest uptake, is you don't have to. Someone else can help you out, and, you know, let's just go play golf and enjoy it. So I hope that answers the question. I think there'll be a bit of both, a bit of coercion from COVID and contactless and touch points, and a bit more fun. So
I'd sort of reiterate everything, but there is definitely a very strong market force now that we see that is pushed the print scorecard to one side, and, you know, the desire to use the phone to score as I said, it's sort of supercharged the movement towards that, and we only see that as getting faster, and we are significantly developing our app product to take advantage of that opportunity. So the market's been forced to move that way. There's no doubt.
Question, Stephen, in Malaysia, they're still under the MCO. Excuse me. You're not allowed to do tournaments still, right? For members or the public as well. Is that still the force? Still in force?
That's correct. I mean, there is a strong play lobbying for government to allow for it, and perhaps we should take a lead again from Paul and what he's been putting together, and maybe talk to him about adding it to our motivation. I'm told it's going to be pretty soon. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm told it's going to be pretty soon. We're also on single buggies, as I mentioned, which is just reduced our rounds by 60%. So the clubs have taken a big knock in revenue for that. So we allow people to share in trains. I just flew this weekend. Flights are full locally, but we can't share a buggy. So we're trying to get that turned around.
Paul, how did that work in your market as far as running tournaments? How have you managed that? And I'm sure software and technology has played a part in that.
Yeah, I mean, we did feel the resistance from the baby boomers initially, and COVID-19 has definitely fast-tracked their interest in understanding how the technology works and buying into it. But we're the same as Malaysia and the rest of most of the world, where we're single-use carts. So we're having that challenge of occupancy that can get out on the golf course. But as it relates to tournaments, it's fast-tracked everyone's interest to understand the technology. I spoke a little bit earlier on about booking apps. We're using that for the gym and for the practice tee, and that really helped the government believe in what we were trying to do and give us the approval, because they could see that we could, one, control the capacity, control the social distancing, and the less touch points. We had a situation, just so you're aware how anal our government can be. We have an inspection at least once a week from the municipality, and we have a sign-in and a check-in. Everybody that comes in gets a temperature check. They have to sign a disclaimer. So two people were coming in together. I would sign a disclaimer, pass it to my friend. It's a potential touch point. So now what we have to do is take it off the person, sanitize it, and then give it to the next person. So we've actually created two boxes. Clean pens, if you like. You sign your disclaimer, put it in the dirty box, we sanitize it and recycle it for the next guest to use.
Wow.
So, and it's great, the members have seen these inspections taking place, so they can't use a notice board. It's got paper, it's got pencils, all high touch points. So online registration is the way we're moving. And like Paul said, this COVID-19 has definitely fast-tracked to where I think the millennials want us to go, and we'll need to go in the future with the club business.
A question for Craig and Peter. I mean, as far as the advertising opportunity, has that been well taken up or utilized in your experience? Or do you have an example of any club that's really utilized that function well?
I think that, again, we will always get the traditional golf clubs that we deal with don't take to the commercial opportunity as quickly as the operators, should I say. So we see the support of our product not just in making sure that users are able to create tournaments. We also do quite a bit of support and training, as well as create marketing materials, which are branded for the golf club, our customer, and they are able to take a very simple brochure and customize that brochure for their potential customers. So if they are trying to attract an audience, maybe it's a Mercedes dealer or something similar, they can present their golf club with the features of Golf Genius, contactless features about the registration, the live leaderboards, on course scoring, website for the client. They can create this brochure and do it with their clients' logos in place. And we know that that's very effective in them helping to sell on the features and the benefits that we provide through our software. So from our point of view, we know and we spend time not just in product understanding, but we also spend time in the setup and training that we do in helping clubs understand how to attract and achieve more revenue. And we see that as all part and parcel of that support package. It's not just about using the product well, but it's also making a return on it. And we definitely have the viewpoint that if we can make it easy to use and make it profitable, then we have a very easy conversation in year 2 when the subscription comes around again.
Yeah, just touching on that too. Nearly every corporate day down here in Australia, they'll use 18 ads, as long as they might double up a few of the main sponsors if they haven't got 18 sponsors, but they're charging for that. They're trying to replace the star pickets and banners on the back of tees. That takes that time for a greenkeeper or a superintendent to go out and install and move that digital, because again, they're receiving that income, selling access to the system, and they're being able to tailor the ads. And you can see here in my background, that's just the welcome. That's obviously branded with Golf Genius, but that would be the customer's logo. If it was a Mercedes day, it'd be Mercedes, or BMW, whoever it is, Coca-Cola, anyone. And then all those ads can be there and little banners on the page, and they're not, Craig's obviously going to bring a few up, but they're not, they're definitely not intrusive. It just gives you a message. A lot of them will, give some information on, it's an ad, but it's also this whole sponsored by, nearest the pin, or the like. And it goes very well. Some clubs are using them on a Saturday comp or a Wednesday comp and saying, don't forget, this week Under Armour's 20% off. Show this message to get your discount. So I guess a lot of it comes down to that acceptance. And if you've got a team that is constantly focused about how do we communicate with the members, even though it's meant to be, less touch points and we don't want to see you, well, we're still going to get our message across. So I think that's where it can be very beneficial.
And again, I'm just pulled up. This is actually an example of one of those selling documents that we provide. And it's a very simple document where, clubs can put their own personal mark on it, but also it allows them to work with the customers to create their golf day, to get that full service offering out and sold in. And it also talks about how the live scoring will work. So we see it very much as not just help with the product, we've got to help get that return on investment. So we like to be involved and helpful at every stage in that process.
And to clarify some of the integration issues or some questions, software is often lumped together. You work with most all to integrate with the club software firms as well. You partner with them in various different cases. You might want to give an overview of how you work with various different partners there.
We are definitely, we have an open platform. You could find, if you looked on our website, a set of open APIs. And we are interested to integrate with any local partner. That is the way that we have set up. As we say, what we do is tournament management, and what we've done through integrations in the US with Club Essentials, with Members First, with in the UK BRS, Chrono Golf. We're talking to other partners in the potential partners in the Far East. What we look to do is to seamlessly put our tournament management in between their tee sheet and their billing systems, so it absolutely is a minimal disruption. It obviously takes an agreement with our integrated partner that they want to do that, but it is our stated objective to have open integration and enable any current software provider to use Golf Genius, to provide better tournament, better fun, more fun, better golf.
We have a question from Anit in India. Have you increased the intervals for tee-off between groups in your software? Is that part of your offering, or you have a necessity to do that?
You have the ability to set tee times from anything from 1 minute to 1 hour. It's a very flexible system.
Okay.
We've seen to the point, typical. I'll give an example. In the UK, it was always 8 minutes. Everything's now 10 minutes or more. Some have gone to 15 minutes. But you have the ability to set the tee time interval, and you can do that, by the hour, on the hour. So a very flexible system to create that tee sheet.
Paul, you have anything to add?
Yeah, that's very interesting, because we've always been 10 minutes. We've gone to 7 and 8 minutes and found pace to play a lot quicker. Originally, we were 3 balls only. We're now 4 balls, but single carts. We've gone from 4 hours 20 to 3 hours. So people are moving a lot quicker. So we've increased or reduced the time and increased tee time availability.
And increased revenue as a result.
Increased member participation.
Okay.
Absolutely correct. Yeah.
Clarification.
Yeah, we started with 10 minutes, and everyone's zipping away in single carts. So we realised, hey, we're potentially losing revenue. So that's reduced the tee times. Our biggest challenge has been the number of carts we've got, or operational carts, to keep the fleet going, which I'm sure many of you experienced in the same challenge.
There's also the ability there, just adding on to that you quickly change your tee times and whatever. You can also change from anywhere from playing in 2s all the way out to 6s. So obviously 6s is not the ideal right now, but post-COVID, when member special events may want to play in 6s for alternate shot or 3-ball scrambles and the like. But right now we saw a massive improvement where we just quickly go bang, you're playing in 2s, and it's capped there. There's no room for error on a tee sheet. So that's a big plus too, while different regions are still going through some of the current COVID conditions.
Yeah, just on that, I mean, because of the single-use carts and we've speeded up the pace of play, that appeals to the younger generation quicker. One of the biggest drawbacks is how long you're out on the golf course. So 1 or 2 of the UAE have actually stayed at single-use carts and 3 balls because it's speeding up the pace of play. We've gone back to 4 balls because we've got more members who want to play their matches. But the feeling is here that, hey, as an industry, the 4 ball may not be the best method to drive revenues. So they've stuck to 3 balls. And they're going around in 2:45, 3 hours maximum. Quicker turnaround.
Interesting.
But then to your point, Peter, everyone likes a jumbo as well. So our members will play a 5 or 6 once we're through COVID. What we're looking at doing is 3 balls in the morning to set the pace of play, and then going to 4 balls or jumbos as we get later on in the day and the evening once we get through this current situation.
Nice.
Okay, I'm taking a look at the polling here, and I'll just review verbally. I don't think I have the technological knowledge to share yet on screen, but some of the questions that we asked were, how many golf events do you normally run over the course of a year? And how many there is, I don't quite understand. Let's go to the World Handicapping is being introduced in 2020 with digital access for players to upload scores and maintain a current handicap via their mobile devices. Is the introduction of the World Handicap system something that would encourage more participation at your facility? And to no surprise, 44% of the respondents said yes, that you think that World Handicap system would improve participation in the facility. I guess that leads to the question to Craig and Peter. What's the most, is there any preferred formats that are coming along here with handicapping? Is System 36 coming out? Which ones are the most popular formats that you get from your clients in general?
Well, typically it is regional. I'd say UK, Europe, Australia, they would be Stableford's, better ball, singles. Far East is very much System 36. That's the go-to. And you know, it is an objective for us. So our background is, in terms of handicapping, is we do all the work. We provide the service to the USGA for them to run all of their handicapping. So we've run world handicapping for the USGA, which is 58 million rounds of golf. You know, 15 different countries, is all done by Golf Genius. We're very keen to see whether that is a service that, you know, would be in demand in the region. We believe there are great upsides to participation with world handicapping, and we've made the adoption of that very simple, both for player and for club and for federation. So there's a single plug-in service which takes about 6 weeks to do, and you can have world handicapping. And there's an app for it. There's terminals for it, and I know terminals at the moment for contactless maybe not the way, but you know, you can access via app. We know that does have an increase in rounds played, so we can look at the befores and the after, and the increase of there is a definite uptick in participation by people having one handicap. I think generally there's some question marks about whether golfers in the region really want handicapping, but it is a very simple system to implement. And as I say, we're very keen to see if that flies, you know, in the region, because we have a great solution that is easy to install, and we think it's very positive because you get people coming into the region, and it all works very well.
Stephen, if I can ask you, what's the general handicapping in Malaysia? If you're a 10 handicapper, are you a genuine 10 handicapper, or are you a 6, or are you a 14?
You're gonna get me into trouble here. I remember I arrived here in Malaysia with a 8 handicap, and I didn't win a single dollar for 2 years. So I needed to make sure it was elevated a little bit. So yeah, different countries have different approaches, I guess, to handicapping. You know, I know in South Africa, like the US, South Africa where I'm from, not the US, we like to, you know, have our handicaps as low as possible, and you know, it's a good thing to have it. Yeah, Malaysia, it's all about, you know, winning, I guess. So it's interesting because I would imagine it'll be interesting to know the statistics in terms of the generations as to how they view the various generations, how they view handicapping as such, right? I remember there was a study from the NGF that I looked at a while back where I think it was quite a high percentage, 15 to 20% of millennials felt that they weren't really interested in a handicap. For them to get into the game, I know we used to sell it at the club. You know, in order to join a club, the big draw card was you had an official handicap. That was the big draw card to join a club in the old days. So I would imagine for boomers, it's really important, and maybe for millennials, perhaps it's less important. Keeping in mind, of course, that's the great thing about our game. It has a handicap system, unlike any other sport. It's what makes it so popular. That's why, you know, Tiger Woods loses to Michael Jordan, you know, when they play golf, because there's a handicap system in it. Other than that, if we didn't have that, you know, it wouldn't be the game that we love and play today. So I think it's necessary. You know, it's great what you are doing, but there are some question marks, I guess, from millennials, whether that is really an important factor for them to get into the game of golf.
Yeah, we definitely see our role as making it easy for administrators and for clubs to implement, you know, a world handicapping system. That's the bit that we can control. But as you say, you know, there are both cultural and generational challenges to bring people to that. But if we can help level the playing field from the start, it gives that ecosystem the opportunity to grow and build.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's our role in the process.
I mean, to be clear, obviously approaching the GAs are the one way to go. There's other options for a group of clubs to do it together to implement because sometimes the GAs have different priorities and there's costs involved. Sometimes that sort of slows down the process. How's that work as far as an implementation? What's been, you know?
Well, we've always found it to be the most effective way is bottom up, and you get there are always the influential clubs, operators within a territory who look at it and say, this is something we have, and that, if you like, that gets us the audience with the golf association, and from there, the sense can be talked and understood, and the implementation. So we definitely try and work top down, but we know bottom up works better. So anybody that feels that is a cause, we're very happy to support them and bring handicapping to both country and club in a way that is very user friendly. If you run a tournament, you send the scores off for handicapping, or the player can input them on a device. So it's got to be, if it's got a chance to take off, it's got to be easy to use, and that's the bit that we do. And we have good working arrangements and agreements with the USGA, who obviously work with the Indian Golf Federation, Hong Kong, etc. So there's a very, very quick route and a seamless route, and we're talking, there's a progression for the Oman Golf Federation to do that currently. So, and we're very hopeful that the Emirates Golf Federation will follow that path as well, because it took us 10 months with 25 people working on the program to deliver the solution called World Handicapping. And we know how much work goes into it, but that's now done, and it's accessible to any association that wants to very quickly move to what we truly believe is the best handicapping system there's been. And, it's wiped the floor with the 6 which were there before, and it's ready to use, and a great opportunity.
When inevitably when we're talking to suppliers of services in Asia, we also have the question of language, and forgive me, I haven't taken a look. Do you have a language portfolio for Asia, or is that if not, is that in the plans?
It's always in plan, and we can always do better. The back end system, the user system, the management system, I call it, it's sort of a USA English. So that's the case. We do have a longer term plan, and it is a longer term plan to have that, what we call back end, into the various language. But we do know that our product on the front end, from what the player sees, whether it be app, leaderboard, or web portal that's created with every event, that does and can be done in the local language. So in simple, back end is currently English, but front end can be in the local language. And we've done work there to make sure those outputs can feature both. Actually, we can do leaderboards with both local language as well as English together, because we know that those are sometimes required also.
Just because I saw the marketing message that you had, the AGIF offer, you want to verbalize, while you have the opportunity to have an audience here, what that offer entails, so people can act upon it. Like so?
Yeah, it's like all these things, from our point of view, we get all of our success by enabling clubs to, first of all, simply throw us a golf event that they've got. We will create that in the system with them and then allow them to use it. You know, we're very much try before you buy, because fundamentally we know that that's of great benefit to us, because people actually see the power of the software. And they see that A, it's easy to create an event. They put the tools. I mean, one of the great things I've got out of today is we should do a checklist, as Paul mentioned, of all the things that are currently a touch point.
Yeah.
That Golf Genius would put an X through and say, you don't need that, you don't need that. But it's that. It's so the offer is, throw us a golf event. We'll show you how to set it up and allow you to run that event, so you can get absolutely firsthand the feeling of easy to set up and great for the people, great for my members or my guests. And you know, from that, the third angle is, yeah, I can make some money with it, which has to be part of our offer.
It probably would be. Sorry, Peter, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's another great one for, you know, those regions and clubs that aren't running events. So, you know, you contact us and say, well, we may not have a set date, but let's build you an event, and you can just change the date to when you're going to relaunch with a big opening day. And, you know, you go back to the members and say, okay, well, we may have been closed for competitions, but here's the next thing. And you can layer your events, and you can have singles and pairs and team events and blind pairs, and you can jazz it all up. And if they put one score in, you're going to be scoring multitudes of comps for the members. So, you know, it's very engaging for them. They're all looking at the leaderboard to go, who's my partner? How's he playing? What are we doing? And, you know, blind holes and don't count holes and count these holes. And that's what, you know, to go and do that manually would take hours. And Paul, you've probably seen the reduction in finalising an event, because it's already done. It's last cards in, last scores in, you know, last groups off with digital scoring. Let's just finalise the comp. So, you know, that's the offer right now, is for when you're coming back or when you're getting more into your events again, we're here to give you a hand and see what your membership enjoys about it.
Yeah, I think it, you know, here in Asia, you're looking at like the rest of the world. There are markets in which maybe we just opened, like in Singapore, we've just opened for member play, but tournament play, like in Malaysia, and I don't know, Mark, in Philippines and in other places, if they're open for tournament play. If not, it would be a good idea, Craig, for Golf Genius to take the position of saying, you know, this is how a tournament can be run without touch, you know, within this context, provided as a service. And certainly the AGIF, be happy to help to disseminate that information, because there is a lot of government lobbying that happens. I mean, Singapore, I know with the SGA, there was quite a bit that happened. I know in Malaysia, they did a very good job getting out there early, etc. So that type of, the next step for a lot of the golf courses is to get tournament playing because of the revenue. So
it's a bit tongue in cheek, but whenever I talk to Paul, I always come away with something that I didn't have before. He's always a great source of ideas. So I'm gonna thank him for that one. A couple of things I would say, just to sort of, I can't recommend enough league play. Leagues really do generate, and are very easy to set up within Golf Genius. They really do set up repeat play, and it allows that sort of loyalty to be built. And the final thing I was going to say on the subject is, just as we've talked about how, you know, COVID-19 has changed the way the event is set up. You know, the very fact that we're all sat on a Zoom meeting is also quite interesting to us, because we can now very quickly and very easily get into, you know, the golf operation office of prospective customers and show them using this tool how to set up an event, how their website will look, let them live, you know, actually put scores in and see how that all works. Let them create adverts that will help, you know, promote the event. And you know what? You know, I will still be sat here in Yorkshire, England, or Peter will be in Brisbane, and you can very quickly see what difference that makes, and be implementing that genuinely within a week to 2 weeks from now. It's cloud-based. You can get access to the software, and you know, we would back ourselves if somebody wanted to do it. They could set up an event on Saturday and run it. It's that easy.
Well, you have a great product for that, and it's a great time to be offering it. Well, I think we've taken enough of your expert time. Does anybody have any final words to sign off?
Well, it seems like I've said a lot, so I'll just say one last thing. I wanted to say thanks very much for the opportunity. We're very proud to be part of the AGIF, and we hope that it'll be a great way for us to meet members and show them added value based on what we do. We know that, you know, people may not have heard of Golf Genius before, but it's a stated aim of myself and Peter to be very helpful and open with potentially what we can do. So thank you for the opportunity, Eric, and everybody for listening.
It's our pleasure, and we really hope to be having events sometime in the future. Yep. We don't know when, but at that time, we welcome you both to also meet and greet the community that we have, which is quite robust around the region, and we look forward to that. But in the meantime, let's work together with your great product.
Look forward to it.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Eric.
Stephen and Paul, as usual, thank you for your expertise in sharing the time. Really appreciate it.
Welcome, Eric.
Thanks for having us.
Everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
Okay, we'll have all the information. We can share the information. We can also share the polling results with you when we're done with this. If you haven't filled out the poll, please do so. And with that, thank you very much and have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Cheers.